Hello, welcome to episode 3 of the OC Roundtable on Coaches Connected. Joined again today by 4 more OCs and head coaches. Got one more guy to join us. While we're waiting for him, we're going to get started and hopefully he can join us. So we'll start with that intros while we're waiting. So guys, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, a little bit of background on yourselves, not too in depth, but a bit of a rundown of what you've been doing. The thing that I like to do with this portion of Coaches Connected, I like to get coaches of various experiences. So like some guys from really new to guys like Steve who've been doing it for donkeys years, and get that difference of opinion, because obviously everybody's level is different and we all got different answers. So the whole point of Coaches Connected is to bring you forward and pay you forward. So without further ado, gents, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and we'll take it from there. So step forward, anybody who wants to take it.
Brilliant. I'll go first. My name's Andrew Morgan. I'm the new offensive coordinator at the Shropshire Revolution. I'm also the Great Britain under-19s offensive coordinator. Done a little bit with the Great Britain senior team a couple of years ago with on the offensive side. I'm also Harry Routledge's assistant wide receiver coach at the GB student team, and we had the grand total of no practices this year. Been in football and coaching for about the last 10 years or so, all the way from junior up to senior level.
Go on, Steve. I'll let you go.
Okay. My name's Steve Rains. As David said, I've been around for donkey's years, so I'll keep this fairly brief and recent. I'm currently the head coach and offensive coordinator for the Solent Thrashers in the National League, just been promoted to the Southern Prem. And I'm the head coach and offensive coordinator for the Bournemouth University Bobcats as well. Prior to my current appointments, I was at the Farnham Knights for a considerable amount of time, over 3 stints where we won a national championship. And I was at one point the head coach and offensive coordinator for the GB Lions Juniors.
And my name is Harry Routledge. So I'm currently the head coach for LJMU Fury uni football team. In the past, I've also been the offensive coordinator for Merseyside Nighthawks seniors. Playing career, played for Great Britain Lions, but also played in Europe for a Swedish team called the Karlstad Crusaders, where I did some coaching as well over there. So I had a range of opportunities coaching wise in terms of different age groups, men's and women's football, but also got the opportunity to coach with the Swedish men's team as well. And then hopefully, touch wood, get the chance to work with the GB students team going forward.
Wonderful. What an eclectic mix of coaches right there. I mean, European experience. Steve's got that many different blooming hats to put on there. I'd love to know, Steve, what's the difference between coaching for a Premiership level senior team and then coaching Bournemouth Uni? That's got to be a night and day comparison right there, dude.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what you've got with the senior team that's moving up into the Premier Division is we've been working together for 3 years, and you're probably not doing as much install as you are with the Bournemouth University team, because the guys are pretty much into the system. They know my language, so we can tweak stuff fairly easily. But you're still getting, rookie players coming in and joining. I mean, we last year did really well in Division 1, and we had a couple of people that were starting in that team who literally put pads on for the first time last February. So you're still going through all the technique and mechanics and stuff for people just the same.
That sounds good. Anyway, we have got some questions, and also we've got for the first time some viewer comments questions, which I asked from the last roundtable. I posted in the comment section asking anybody who wants to step forward, ask a question. So we've got a couple today, which I'll try and squeeze in. But our first question for the day is film. It's basically, how much do you guys use film, and how do you use it really? Is it like on a weekly basis? Is it like every practice? Basically, what's your take on film, and how do you use it? And I'll offer that forward to anybody who wants to take it at the moment. So if you want anyone to step forward, feel free.
Go on, Morgan, I can tell you're keen to answer that.
What? Oh, I just have that.
I can just see you waiting
Yeah.
for
Oh
it.
yeah, I'm just eager to talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, film is pretty much everything. It's something that I've realised from OCing, like to start with at the Lions, Birmingham Lions university team, that when you're there at practice, you get a sense of something and think, oh, we've had a bad practice, oh, we haven't been able to run our plays, the defense has won, and all this kind of stuff. And then you get back home and you've calmed down a little bit and you watch it back, and film doesn't lie to you. It's able to tell you everything that you might have missed or you might not have seen. You can't have your eyes everywhere, and then you can figure everything out. So for me, it's the most important part of being a coordinator is being able to film things, being able to tag it, catalog it, share it with the players, being able to put feedback on it, get players to engage, and then the use of that over the course of the season is the most important thing in getting your offense on the field, really, for me.
Yeah, I think, like, for me, I essentially will try and split it into two kind of uses of film. So you have review, so like, what can we do better? And then obviously your kind of scout element as well, kind of moving forward when you're playing during the season. I think the different, like when Steve was there, I was talking about the different levels of kind of where you're coaching at. I think, like, for me, the review section becomes a lot heavier at that kind of lower level, or perceived lower level of football. So at Uniball, going back and actually, rather than looking forward, looking back, correcting mistakes, making sure that we can get our stuff right, rather than focusing too heavily on the scout and kind of looking at the variations of the other team. Whereas that kind of like a Prem, so with Merseyside Knighthawks, the focus is always to review, but a lot of guys will like kind of do that themselves, and they'll be able to kind of self-evaluate and work through their own film. So the coaching stuff has to come at a focus more on the scouting at that point, because at that point as well, the kind of the scheme is more complex as well. So you might need some more kind of expertise in terms of the scout level, and focus on film. For me, that kind of becomes more of a scout element, and then the review is done by the players themselves watching their own film.
Yeah, I think those are really good points. I think, without film, you missed so much at practice because you can't be looking at everything. So I think the review element of the film allows you to be coaching more often than we currently are, because we only get the players for a very limited amount of time. But through film, you can be coaching individuals as you go on through the week. And from the scouting element point of view, obviously it's really important to be able to look forward at opponents, but also I think self-scouting is really important as well, to make sure you're not developing obvious tendencies and that sort of stuff. So film's really important across the board, I think.
Yeah, all those aspects, to be honest. Film is so important. And when I see something like on social media about some teams not using film, it just blows my mind. Like at our level, it's just so important because, as you say, especially with such small staffs, if we don't film, we miss so much stuff. The ability to go back and check it over is just like, for me, it's invaluable. Okay.
And I think
What I don't get is the people that don't want to exchange film, because for me it's part, if we want to raise the level of the game here, it's part of the game is film review by both teams. So I hope we're still working towards the situation where film exchange will be compulsory. I know it's very difficult at the moment because you get vastly different standards of film. Ours isn't the best, but it's reasonable. But some people it's pretty awful, and then you get people that are reluctant to exchange because of that.
Yeah, and I think there's another aspect to it, and just obviously we're looking at it from a X and O's and playing standpoint in terms of the review and stuff, but there's an education aspect to it as well. Like Harry's talked about at Merseyside, that guys can look at it themselves and work on things. You have to be able to teach them that. and they need to learn how to watch tape in a constructive way, as opposed to kind of saying, "Oh, this is just my highlight reel, and look at me and look how amazing I'm playing." But then there's another education aspect as well with the coaches, that they need to understand like what to watch, how to watch it, how to break it down, what myself or you guys as an offensive coordinator wants from a technique or a positional group or a different kind of block or a route, so they can then feed that back to the players so that the information disseminates down, and then being able to give feedback in a really productive way, so that it's not just like negative comments. It's not always, oh yeah, good job, really nice there. That it's constructive and it helps players get better at the same time.
The old chicken sandwich. I was taught when I went to Baffa. That doesn't work. I'm telling you right now. Question number 2. How do you better yourself as a coach during the off season or in downtime? There was a perfect example of downtime and off season. How do you guys get? I mean, I've seen Coach Raines in quite a few things that I've been in, so I know what Coach Raines does. But how do you guys get better during the off season or during a down period? How do you improve as a coach?
Well, I guess for me, like the first thing, I guess, is that I just watch football, like just watching more and more football. Like the more opportunity I get to watch college football, high school football, NFL football, I think like I learn from kind of just the osmosis of like seeing football going on. Do you know what I mean? So, and yes, obviously that kind of like you naturally are pulled towards the kind of X's and O's standpoint. But I think that you also, and I think there's like a lot of value now to see, like you see like the lineman lunch, like, and then the Facebook groups that are like line specific and stuff like that, where just being in and around those groups and seeing that film really allows you to kind of add tools, I guess. So kind of add techniques that you can then build and go and find out some more on. Obviously, like going through, like I don't do a huge amount, but if there's something I want to go and research, like I have it's like Coach Huey and those different blog sites and things like that, where you can go and type in terms and find out what they are. I don't know if you run Inside Zone, but you want to run Duo or whatever, and you want to find out what it is. So going into the correct places to find it. For me, that's how I do it. It's not necessarily like I don't sit down and try and learn something new. I just kind of enjoy watching football anyway, so it's not a chore. So just watching football, understanding it from a coaching standpoint as well. So understanding what the schemes happening, what kind of defense they're running, what kind of offense they kind of run, what kind of stuff they're doing, situational things like that. I think just for me is a big, just broadens the horizon, and for me in terms of what's possible and what is out there, I guess, if I want to go out and find some more on it, I guess.
I think for me it's on top of that, because I mean we all watch football and can draw stuff, but I want to get on a call with someone. I want to like look at their stuff. I want them to explain it to me. I want to kind of unpick it and then see what it is like somebody else does, what their perspective is, because I mean, like talking about pass concepts, there's about 14 different ways of running a smash concept, of how you high-low a cornerback and create space and all of that kind of stuff. So I want to know what you like, why you want to do it. I want to see what I can kind of like disseminate down and then take back into my stuff as well. So that's always invaluable, because when you can hear how the people like want to explain it, how they kind of put it across in their own language, you pick things up, and there's things that you can take back to your team as well, which is really, really useful.
Yeah, I think communication with other coaches is a good way to keep improving yourself. I think that obviously, you know, from my point of view, with the lockdown stuff and everything, Zoom's been suddenly become really important, I think, to all of us. The other thing that I do whenever I can is I've got contacts out in the States, and if I can get out there and spend time out there, then that's something. I'm fortunate I'm retired, so I don't work, so if I get the opportunity, I can get out there, and that's where I pick up most of my stuff from.
And I think just to add on to that as well, coming from what I did the last season, the season that we just were able to play, being able to go onto the other side of the ball is the best thing that you can do as an offensive coach. And in downtime with your team, go to your defensive coordinator and get them to teach you their scheme, get them to go through tape with you, because then you start to understand techniques better. You start to understand coverages, how they set strengths, where do they set to the field, to the boundary, do they set to a formation, what does a shift in motion do, where does it create a weakness and imbalance. Once you start to understand the other side of the chessboard, it just makes your job a lot easier when it comes to putting together a playbook, when you're scheming ready for a game, when you're watching tape to review it, you see it and you're able to think about what it is you need to do.
I totally agree there, Coach. I mean, one of the things that when I was at Revolution last year, that Al did at DC. Hi, Coach. Welcome. One of the things that Al did at DC was that he put a Zoom on for all the offensive coaches, and he just talked through his defense. Obviously, because our staff was so young last year, with the exception of myself, I thought that was brilliant. Today he talked through the defense. You know what I mean? So it was really good. So that was kind of a good thing for me that I thought everybody should be trying to do. You know what I mean? Anyway, welcome aboard, Coach Mccusker. I wanted to just start really. We've asked a couple of questions. The current question is basically film. How do you use it? How often do you use it? What do you think is the benefits of film? So feel free to jump on that one, Coach.
Hi guys, listen, sorry for connection difficulties, communication issues, whatever. Glad to spend a bit of time with you. Yeah, so film, absolutely crucial. First of all, my whole philosophy comes from ensuring that people have sound fundamentals. And the fastest way to get everybody on the same page about what good looks like is show them on film. And the fastest way to show differences to athletes and their performance is showing them through film. And obviously, if you're going to scout anybody, you're going to look at tendencies, you're going to look at anything, the fastest way to do that is through film. And I've found Huddle awesome, incredible. Obviously, there's lots of little glitches, little things you would like to be a little bit better. But just the tool itself, the ability to be able to create playlists instantly, all the third downs, third and short, all the third and long, all your 1st and 10 run situation stuff, blitz packages, have playlists that you can very easily cut up and send to your players. So instead of those guys sitting at home, especially when we're dealing with amateur football, sitting home on a PlayStation, they could spend 20 minutes looking at a blitz package before they come to practice. And it accelerates the tempo of practice. Because I'm a great believer in not having any wasted time on the field, because we don't have enough. I mean, even when I worked in the pros, you don't have enough. And you need to maximize every second that you've got on the field. And film's just the best way of doing that. And if you don't, advice to young coaches is that if you don't film practices, if you don't film games, you're really not going to get better as fast as you maybe want to.
Agree. Totally agree. And that echoes everybody else's sentiments, to be honest with you, coaches. We totally on the same.
Okay. Because if it didn't, I would argue with them.
No, we were all on the same boat. You go back and watch it, we were all in the same boat, Coach. I promise, I assure you. Question 4. I have skipped one question, Coach, but it doesn't matter. Question 4 is, how do you guys get your plays into your offense? Are you a signals guy? You're a risk coach? Are you a boards guy? How do you do it, and what do you feel is the best way if you've tried multiple ways? I'll put it up to anybody who wants to take it, so feel free. And obviously, it depends on what offense you're on, because Steve runs something a bit different to a lot of people. But I'll put it up, and whoever wants to take it, feel free.
Go on, Steve.
Okay, I'm a little bit old school. Yes. So my plays go in with a receiver, and the quarterback has them on a wristband, and so no signals, no boards, just really a bit old-fashioned, like the rest of me.
Harry, that's not a bad thing being old-fashioned, because I'm old-fashioned. I kind of like it.
So like when I went out to the States in 2016, I came back with a hand signal system that I kind of forced into what I was doing, and it was a play caller signaling to all 11. It was hurry up, no huddle, and I've like completely come away from that, because you spend most of your preseason teaching hand signals. You get the blank stare of a receiver who doesn't know what's going on, or the offensive lineman or the whole offense who don't know what's going on. And then you get confusion as to what the play is, and the speed that you want to try and get across just dissipates entirely. So what I've kind of come back to is a risk coach with numbers on it. The number gets shouted out, and obviously the play goes in the huddle. But the thing that I've stressed, because I am a big fan of speed, is just because you're in the huddle doesn't mean it's a slow offense. As soon as you break it, you can run to the line and run the play really quickly. And for me, that just seems to be a lot better and a lot more efficient than what I've done in the past.
Yep. I mean, really, it's like the other thing I think about offense is you have to fit everything you do to the people that you have. I mean, if you're coaching kids, it's almost pointless getting those kids to run things at a huge tempo, because you're only really, you're not really giving yourself time. If you're a junior coach and there's one coach for the whole offense, and maybe one head coach coaches everybody, you want to give yourself a little bit of time to see what's happening on the defensive side of things, so that you can help coach your players up when they come off the field. I'm an offensive line coach currently at the Copenhagen Towers, and we play in the elite level in Denmark and occasionally in Europe when COVID allows. And we're going to unleash our super fast turbo tempo in the playoffs if COVID hadn't kicked us in the ass. And it's just really fast. We have 3 players on the sideline. The coach will pass the play to them. One guy will signal formation. One guy will signal the receiver's job, and then the other guy will hold up a board with a 2-digit number on it. And that works really well for us, but because the bulk of the guys in our offense have played in the offense for a number of years. The other guys catch up fast, because if they don't catch up, they don't play, you know. And it's really down to you fit your scheme to your play calling system, just like your scheme and your X's and O's to who you have running it. We had a great system at East Kilbride when Andy McIntosh was the offensive coordinator, and he had all these fancy boards with 4 pictures on them that meant something to the players. And we would have a system on which corner was the active was the active picture, and then we had a dummy board beside it. And you can sometimes overcomplicate things for yourself, but again, at East Kilbride that really worked, because the guys understood the system, they understood what the pictures meant, and it really wouldn't matter if we had 3 guys signaling in formation, receiver job, and up front guys. It wouldn't have mattered. It would have happened at the same tempo, just because the guys knew what they were doing. And I've done pretty much everything from wristband, running receivers into like 2-digit signals that mean something to everybody. And again, it just needs to fit who you are.
Yeah, we just run. It's no huddle, but I wouldn't it's not classed as like up tempo, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the benefits we get from no huddle, a lot of it comes in practice. So we actually get like more practice reps because we're not huddling during practice. So we run it because we're no huddle. We're running like with pods of 4. So we'll run 4 plays in a row, break, switch personnel, then run 4 plays in a row. So that's one of the things that we will run like a higher tempo at Merseyside, whereas at Uniball, we're going to run a bit more of a slower tempo, but still no huddle. And then we signal plays in just with hand signals. For the skill guys, we'll have like a muddle huddle for the O-line. So the O-line will get on the ball, turn around, get the call from the QB, and then they'll get that call and run that. So our stuff is kind of built off kind of limited line schemes as well. So we'll only have like 5 or 6 O-line schemes, but we'll maybe have like multiple runs off the same scheme. So if we're running power, we can run power for the O-line, but the O-line don't know that we're maybe running speed option, or we're running actual power, or we're running counter, or we're running inverted veer. So we work it like that to kind of limit the O-line, so they only have kind of a few calls that they have to process, and all our skill guys. So we'll give them a formation as guys get into the formation, and then we'll start giving the signal for the play, and then that'll have a direction as well, dependent on where it is. But it's, for us, it starts from the very beginning of install. Is literally the play name comes with the signal. So the whole thing is, when you're teaching the plays, everyone knows all the signals. So we don't I know I've been in offenses where guys want to run a huddle and then want to try and run no huddle at once they've installed it, and I feel like that's a really tough place to go if you haven't got some of the more elite players who've got a lot of understanding. So especially from a uni level, we straight away is no huddle. We don't even talk about huddle. We don't use the word. We just go straight out on the field. Once we've got enough guys, once we get the 11 guys that are going to go on, they get the play run out. And then it's all hand signals and just verbal communication. So a lot of the stuff we won't technically call the right name. So it means that if people need to shout the word out, then they can shout that word out, and it means that there's some verbal communication there as well. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily benefit some of our guys when they're moving up. So if they don't know snag's called snag, it's a bit of an issue for a receiver, but it just means they've got to kind of translate what we call it to what the kind of generic terms that they're going to get at GB and different teams.
We also had, when I was coaching at the Danish under-19 national team, we also had a system where, I quite liked it, where we, going into every game, we would have 3 or 4 one-word plays.
Yeah.
So, car was our stretch. And the offensive coordinator was a madman, mad scientist, and he would just call the Danish word for car from sideline, scream it. And then all the players would run up to the line, usually after a big play. We want to get a play off quickly, take advantage of the defence being in a bad headspace. And he would just call out car. Guys would get on as soon as the ball was spotted. We run the play and generally get a pretty decent gain out of it. But the other stuff we would signal in, hand signals from the sideline. And it would be, again, no huddle.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean fast tempo.
We've tried, we've done it a little bit, a limited amount. At Merseyside, we would run, essentially we would have a pass and a run play that we liked against that team. So if we were playing Manchester Titans, we'd have Manchester and Titans, and we'd just be shouting that. And obviously the tempo downs for us are, the only time we actually ever really want to go fast is when it's first down. It's because there's no point going fast on second and third down in my eyes. You're at a limited situation of what it can be. So when you understand when the tempo downs are, when you actually want to go fast, you can put those kind of key one word things in. You want to run inside zone to the boundary or whatever. You can just run Manchester. Everyone runs up. You snap the ball as fast as possible. We have tried it. It wasn't limited. We just kind of never got used to kind of doing it. We always would kind of get away from, maybe we didn't want to run that play, so then it's just now obsolete pretty quickly. Yeah,
repetition being the key, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you guys who are in this country in that one? How do you find the refs? Because I think that when we did it last year, just as Coach Morgan pointed out, I mean, he was on the side of when we ran it, but on the different side. Well, you don't know huddle, and basically, in my opinion, it's pointless. Because the refs just slow the game right down. So, I mean, maybe in the top tier, what you're getting, Harry, and you're getting the elite refs like Jed. We're not getting the elite refs in Division 1.
I don't think tempo is hard to there's a lot of things that are out of your control ultimately. So to set that as a goal for an offense, I feel it's quite tough. You maybe find an uphill battle. I think there's benefits to being in a huddle, especially at uni ball, because I know refs won't start the play clock on time because they'll wait for people to get in the huddle, so you actually have time. So there's benefits from that sense. Whereas if you want to actually make checks at the line, which we which you naturally can now do because you're all hand signals, which is one of the benefits as well. Your audibles are all built in, is that they'll start as soon as you kind of get near the ball, they'll start the play clock and it starts rolling a little bit quicker. So you see some of the guys that will play teams that will walk up to the line, they'll huddle, and you're stood there with 35 seconds and they're not even like lined up yet, and you're like, but the refs don't start it because like 10 seconds late because they're waiting for guys to get to the huddle and get set and stuff like that.